Well, good morning again. And if I seem like I'm squinting, I am because the light is right in my face, so I apologize. So, here we are again. 81 years I've been on this earth, looking, trying, seeing, hearing. The very first time I had a real spiritual encounter when I was in my very early 20s. I went to an area, a workshop, a retreat, and this lady gave me a reading. And she said, "You are a soul enraptured with the thrill of learning." And that stuck with me all these years. And I think back, and I've done a lot of things and been a lot of places and experienced a lot of things. And some would say perhaps a bit flighty, but I was learning, you see. I talked with my kids a while back about something, and my son said to me, "Mom, a long time ago we figured out that you're a gypsy." And I think maybe I am, because I like the newness and the brand new and experiencing things that I haven't experienced before. But I also remember the past, and I appreciate those past encounters. My dad, he was a very upright citizen in that, but he had a lot of wisdom and a lot of humor. And he used to say to me, it's a old German kind of saying, he goes, "The problem is we grow too soon old and too late smart." And I kind of have that feeling at 81. It's like, whoa, I'm not nearly smart enough, but I'm certainly getting old enough. So, but that's okay. I also remember talking with my dad at one time when, you have to picture this, 80 years ago, or 75 years ago, and we didn't have a TV. We listened to the news. We would sit around the radio. But we knew things. My dad liked to read. He'd make us kids read, or he'd invite us to read. No, he'd make us read. And his favorite thing to read was the Encyclopedia Britannica. So we'd be sitting around at night reading the encyclopedia. It was a great way to grow up and learn. But I remember talking to him one day, and I said, "Dad, are things just, suddenly getting worse, or have they always been kind of bad and I just didn't know it?" And he thought about it, and he called me by his pet name, Geetles. He says, "Geetles, I think it all started to go downhill when we stopped teaching and we started preaching." The man was wise. So today, I'm quite obviously not going to preach. I've never been a preacher. But I'm not going to teach either. I'm going to go above and beyond. And that means letting go of some of the old formats. Teaching, I think, sometimes implies that you know something that somebody else doesn't know, and quite often that's true. But today, I just want to explore with you that which we know collectively and individually, and that which we don't know, and go that above and beyond. Life on Earth is about evolution. If you look at our planet, and scientifically you can see how the planet has evolved. Everything from the beautiful mountains here in Pasadena that were created by upheaval and earthquakes, to the vastness of our seas and the way they are evolving, and they're growing, and they're shrinking, and then they're growing again. It is all about movement and becoming more. when we talk about us individually as humans and as souls, we talk about evolution. We know, we believe in soul reincarnation. Now, when I was growing up, that was verboten. We weren't allowed to talk about reincarnation. That was heresy. But you see, we grow and we know. And so now we know that the soul goes on. And then when I look back at the teaching that I was taught as a child, they were teaching reincarnation, but they called it something else. Because there is sometimes in a movement a need to control the experience, to learn something, get so excited about it or so ingrained in it, so committed to it, that we demand students, and we demand you understand and know what we know, the way we know it, and then design your life accordingly. But that's not evolution. Evolution says, what more? If we believe that the soul dies and goes to heaven, it's only a little sliver of a step beyond that that says the soul is eternal but can come back. Because we're learning, and it requires coming back and going to school again and again and again. So what I thought I would do is just share with you how I've been evolving lately. Most of you don't get to experience yet being 81. It's a unique experience, and it sometimes can be a trap. But I decided at some point that I was really tired of being trapped, of claiming that, well, I'm 81 and I can't do anything but sit in my chair, and oh God, I'm turning into my mother. I thought, there's more to it. So a year or so ago, and for me, evolution always begins with books and reading. And that's one good thing about being 81. You got all the time in the world to read. Really, you do. But I found this book called Everyday Spirit. And it's a daily guide. You read it each day. And the lady that wrote it is, I first read her writings in a Science of Mind magazine. She's an amazing lady, and I love the book. And so each day she talks about her experience and what she learned from it. And one of the things she talked about was birds. Throughout the book, and she talks about the little goldfinches and the way they fly this way, they go up and down. I don't know if you know that. I didn't know it until she told me, and then I observed it. But I was reading it, and I thought, wow, that is so cool, because she has what she calls a writing window, where she sits down to write her books or whatever, and she looks out on it's God calling. It's okay. She looks out onto the pastures, and she talks a lot about birds. I thought, wow, that's really neat. And why am I not experiencing that? Now, I was chafing at living up in the country. I am a city girl. I miss being able to walk down the street and go get a cup of coffee or a hamburger or whatever. Sidewalks. My God, I miss sidewalks, But I'm in the country, and I thought, well, boy, she's like really enjoying being in the country. She went there to heal, and I'm in the country. Why aren't I not healing? And then I opened my eyes. Picture this. I have a really nice big room in my daughter's home. They're lovely to me and all that good jazz. But I have my room. That's my little... And I have one big window that looks out onto the fields, right? My chair that is permanently indented to fit me, and occasionally McGregor, my dog. My chair is here's the window. My chair is facing this way. Why? Because the TV's there. So I'm wrapped up, I'm sitting there ignoring the gift of life out that window because the TV's there. And then I thought about it, and I looked around our house, our living room. We have the most spectacular wall of windows overlooking this hill. We're on the top of a mountain type thing. The couch faces the TV. So I thought, I'm not even looking. No wonder. And I know when Spirit and I get engaged, Spirit says, okay, she's finally ready to learn something. I'll help her out here a little bit. So I said, okay, from now on, I do my morning prayer. My first prayer is always for PNTC. I'm going to go look out the window. And lo and behold, I saw a bird. It was amazing. And then Spirit really worked. So my son-in-law had put a bird feeder out in the tree on the other side of the house. Something says, oh, I'm going to move it to this side of the house. So now the bird feeder's out there. I'm seeing all the birds coming. I saw the little goldfinches, and they really do swoop like that. I saw a pair of hawks with their bright white heads flying in formation. I mean, it was like a miracle that I had turned my back on for 5 straight years. We got to think about that. I remember driving down some streets of beautiful homes, and house after house after house after house had all their curtains drawn. And I thought, why do we have windows if we don't open? I used to stay with our beloved Evelyn when I would come down from traveling, and the first thing she did every morning was open those living room windows. And she had hummingbirds in the bushes out there. And I think, how often, my question is me, and I'm just hoping maybe by rambling on about my reawakening, maybe it will inspire a little different look in your life, or at the very least, open up about some discussions about how much more above and beyond we can go in life, how much more we can enjoy and share and be. So I rearranged my room. No, I didn't. I have to have my chair there. It's the only place it'll fit. But now I stand up and I look out the window. So in the morning I wake up, I promise you I will do that. The first thing I do is I go over to my little desk and I take that dollar bill out and put it in my hands. I say the prayer of blessing for PNTC, and I put it in there, $1 a day for PNTC. I begin every day with that. And then I play a song on my pad. It's called Calling All Angels. And so I talk to my spirit guide, Padraig. I talk to Buddy. You all know, well, most of you remember little Buddy, my little white dog. I talked to him, and then I talked to Archangel Michael, who has been my buddy through this whole mess of life I've had, 81 years. He's never let me down. And now I use Archangel Raphael. I say good morning to Archangel Raphael because he healed my little McGregor when we thought we were going to lose him. And he's so good now. So that's how I begin my day. And then I start reading, and I read Everyday Spirit, and then I read a couple new books I'm going to tell you about because they're just too exciting. So that's how I start my day. And then in the evenings, again, have you ever, some of you have been to Hawaii, and you hear people say about the gorgeous sunsets. And I was reading something about that, and I thought, oh, I wish I were in Hawaii and I could see one of those sunsets, And Spirit said, get off your duff and go out and look out the window. Oh my goodness. Where we are, we have some of the most beautiful sunsets I have ever seen in my life. Every night. They're gorgeous. It's always been there, and that's how God is. God is always there for us, but you gotta be willing to turn around and look. The neighbor that's right outside my window, and by that I don't mean a neighbor like we have neighbors with house and house and house. There's a field between us, and then there's, yes. And on the side of their house, there's this big pile of rubbish, boards and logs, and and I go out there and why are they there? Why don't they clean up that mess? And I saw the mess before I saw the sunset. You see, it's like above and beyond. It's somebody else's mess. I'm never going to go out there and clean up that mess. I'd probably get shot if I tried. But I have the ability to see beyond, to look over the garbage and see the horizon. And glory be to God, I saw that I live in an area that has these beautiful rolling green hills, and I never noticed. I wonder, how much do we not notice? How much wonder and glory is all about us, but we get so focused in. We see only that which is in that narrow scope of vision. And I got to thinking about vision and scopes of things, and the nice thing about being old, you get to sit and ruminate about these things, and sometimes you awaken. It's wonderful. And I thought, the little ants, they're crawling along, and they're seeing blades of grass, and they're thinking that's the only reality. They have no way to see the horizon like we do. And on my TV, it really isn't my enemy. It has some good things. But it has, I like to listen to music, and it shows these wonderful pictures of different places. And I go, oh, that's so magnificent. There's one in the city up on the cliff. And I said, oh, that is so gorgeous. Where is that? Maybe should go there. And then it just like that, the Spirit says, yeah, but if you were there, you'd be on that sidewalk, and you'd only be seeing the store face. You wouldn't see the allness. And you see, I think that's our invitation that's from Spirit, is saying, see the allness. Go above and beyond. I'm reminded of that line in Shakespeare's from Hamlet, that there is, now I can't remember, but there is more in heaven and earth, Horatio, than in your philosophy. And I thought, there is more. And we have that opportunity to experience the more only when we agree to it. It isn't going to smack us in the face. We have to be willing to wake up and see the good that is right before us. New Thought. We call ourselves the Pasadena New Thought Center. And we're growing. We're growing, and we're having growing pains, and that's okay. When Jesus formed his band of followers, there were only 12, and look how that has multiplied. When we stay in integrity with the process and we're willing to grow, we grow literally in leaps and bounds. There is no limit to what we can know, what we can do, what we can express, and what we can experience. And for us to be able to do that, we are in New Thought. New Thought that allows us to explore the possibilities of things, to look at what could be or what might be without the parameters of saying, this is what we believe. A more structured religion, and I'm okay with that. That's soul's path. This is our path, okay? But a more structured religion doesn't give us that opportunity to expand our capability of learning and knowing and doing and being more. New Thought affords us that opportunity. It encourages us to think about possibilities. So many things that come up that in other areas that people say, well, no, that's, I mean, I remember as a child, we say, well, let me check with what the authority says, what the paper says, what the priest says. And New Thought says, no, go look at it, see what it is. Do you remember when we used to be so concerned about ETs. And did you watch that? Didn't you just love E.T. Phone Home, the movie? I just loved E.T. But there was a while, everybody was, oh, Twitter, oh, there, it could be an E.T., could be an E.T. And I go, first off, what is it in our makeup that says if something's different, it must be here to hurt me? So I have to be afraid of it. It's why we are in this time of otherness, of distrust. It's that fear that if you're not like me, you're going to hurt me. And that gets expanded and filtered out in a way that's very unhealthy for soul growth. But I used to say, what if they're not here to hurt us? Number one, maybe they're here to help us. And even if they did arrive and they were here to hurt us, watch how fast we all become we humans. All the things, the differences we thought we had, it's like, no, now we're all humans against the ETs. So, in New Thought and in the ramblings of an old lady's mind, I want to consider the possibilities of what we can be and what we are. So I'm reading 2 books at one time. I've been reading this wonderful book called Guided: The Secret Path to an Illuminated Life. And it's all about souls who have had experiences and about being connected with someone or someones who are now in the spirit realm and validating our feeling that life goes on. But not only does life go on in some material state, we can access it, and we have help. We are not alone. Those souls that have gone before us, who loved us and knew us, are still around to help us. But again, it requires our willingness to make that connection, to ask for help. We have a group of angels just waiting to help. Again, they will not do it without our permission. We have to ask for it. And so we have in this book they call it the circle of light, where our light beams. We have a group. I don't know how many. I mean, I think I need a lot of angels because I've been causing a lot of problems throughout this 81 years. But they are there to help us, and we can always call upon them. Just like Michael has been my protector for a long time consciously. When I was very, very young, I used to have night terrors where I would shake so hard, but I couldn't wake up. But it was really off-way until I hooked up with Archangel Michael. And he got me through the nights from then on. So he's been with me for a long time. So I would invite you to know that in this time of your life, in any moment, there are spiritual beings, powerful beings that can impact your physical world, standing ready. All you have to do is ask, and they will help. In the book, she talks about asking your angels for guides, and she has wonderful stories about how the souls that have gone on, how they send messages to their loved ones. I know that's true because I've experienced it. She talks about near-death experiences. I know that is true because I experienced it. And my father experienced it. And years ago, the one thing we could talk about, one night of each week of vacation, he and I would sit out in the breezeway and talk spirit, because it was something that I believed and he shared happened to him. And then years later, as they were wheeling me in for a heart attack and they were going to do a test, and they had to say, we're losing her, code blue. And I'm going, oh. And it was interesting. I always share this with you. I was like laying there and I went, well, let's see. They got those paddles. They'll bring me back. Let's go. I only stay for a little bit. But I knew better because my dad said the same thing. He said, once you go there and you remember how great it is, it doesn't take all your joy away, but you know that there's more. So that much I know is true. I don't know, Oprah still has her magazine, but I always liked at the very last page of her magazine, she says, this much I know for sure. So this is much I know for sure. Why? Because it's been validated in my own life experience. So I'll just share it as this is what I believe because it's happened to me. But are you willing to go above and beyond? Are you willing to say, what if? Now, I'm not saying absolutely this is, but what if it could be so? I found this book. It's called Souls on Earth. Here's the catchline. Exploring interplanetary past lives. So are you willing to go above and beyond and search and look at? And for me, that's the gist of it. Being willing to look. It's not like saying, okay, read this and you're going to believe this. No. Look at it. This or something else. It doesn't matter. I encourage for your own edification, your own soul growth. Ask questions. Dare to believe. You don't have to buy into any of it. You could say, okay, I'll listen to that, and that's hogwash. I don't want any part of it. You don't have to believe that there are souls incarnating from other planetary systems. But years and years and years ago, and when I had Journey of Souls, one of the questions I asked was, did only souls come to Earth? Because, boy, when you look at our universe, Earth is a pretty small little point of light in a great big universe. And I'm just wondering, could there be something more to this whole thing than just pretty star-lit skies for us? And I was told at that hearing that there are many, 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 many millions and trillions and beyond count souls all evolving at different paces in different places. Some of us evolve on Earth, some of us evolve on other planets. That was years and years and years ago. And the premise of this work, which is by a scientist, Dr. Lyndon Bachman, is that there are indeed planets. The whole universe is evolving soul-wise. But there are souls from other planets that are incarnating on Earth to help us. They know, they're worried about our planet. They are worried about our thought system of believing in that which is not real and not true, and not believing in light and love. It's, for me, I always wanted God to be logical. I wanted it to make sense to me. And to me, it makes sense that, obviously, that there's got to be more to this. And that souls, I know, you may have accepted the idea that consciousness is continuing, whether we're in a body form or whether we're in spirit form, whether we're in animal form or plant form or any other form. Consciousness is what we are and who we are and how we are. So it makes sense to me. Now, I'm not saying it has to make sense to all of you, but it's worth considering that there is a consciousness that is expanding and growing in other ways than on planet Earth. And for me personally, it's very comforting to have the idea of the possibility that there are souls from other planetary systems that are here and see that we are in a pot of mess. And we need healing. And we need healing now. And we are called forward to be not in fear, but to be in solution of what's going on. And what that means is that each and every moment, to be consciously aware of the thoughts that we are thinking, the words we are saying, the actions we are taking, has a ripple effect and goes out into our universe and is healing or destroying. It's up to us. Healing or destroying. It's a ripple effect. And it will go out and it will touch everything. It's actually, there's a scientific study that proved that not only does that ripple effect go out and impact, when someone sees you performing an act of kindness, that sends that vibration out, but the persons that observe it are there. The wiring is connected, and they will go out and do something kind because inadvertently you have stimulated by your kindness someone else's wire that says, oh, kindness is a good thing. And so I'm just encouraging you two things. One, explore. Think that there may be possibly more to it than ever. Often when people say, I would introduce me and say she's a retired minister, they say, oh, do you believe in Jesus? Yes, I believe in Jesus. I think he was a cool dude that walked the face of the earth and he had a mighty impact on our world. But I also believe in the more that Jesus taught. He said, all these things that I do, even more shall you do. So I don't believe in practicing the way certain people say Jesus taught or Christianity is, but I do believe in the more, and I do believe that the longer we love, the more we love, the stronger we love, the better our world would be. So I invite you to go out and explore, inquire, digest, but most importantly, go out and be love in action and heal our lovely planet Earth. And so it is.